This segment sponsored by Kevin McIntyre, a licensed insurance agent with Health Markets Insurance Agency. Welcome back. We are continuing our Medicare series each week, answering the questions that you all want to know. And joining me is Kevin McIntyre, who is a licensed insurance agent at Health Markets Insurance Agency. Hello.
Hi, Jess. Good
to see you again. Yes. Okay, so we are taking viewers' questions.
Yes.
And the first question is for Mark. Mark asks, do I need to enroll in Medicare if I'm still working and have employer benefits? I have heard I may incur penalties if I don't. How would you answer that?
Well, first of all, that's a great question. And thank you, Mark, for sending that in. And it's a question that we get a lot. And as you will come to find out when I answer questions about Medicare, we usually starts with it depends, right? Because there's all kinds of situations. But as far as somebody working and wanting to know if they have to go to Medicare, the first question I always ask is, does your employer have 20 or more employees? So if the employer has 20 or more employees, in general, that person will not be required to enroll in Medicare when they turn 65 to avoid penalties. One of the key pieces of information that they need to obtain from their insurance company is something called a certificate of creditable coverage. So if they can obtain that document from their insurance company, it lets Medicare know that their insurance company is a primary payer and that Medicare would be secondary should they pick it up. That also states that they have creditable drug coverage. So again, if somebody has 20 or more and they can obtain that certificate of creditable coverage, they will not be required to enroll in Medicare, and they will not incur penalties when they go to enroll at a later date. Now, if somebody checks with their insurance company and their insurance is not creditable, they can't get that certificate, then it's very important that they enroll in Medicare when they're first eligible, so they avoid any penalties and any coverage gaps.
So that's interesting. So basically, if they don't have credible coverage, they can enroll. But if they have credible coverage, they don't have to enroll, right?
That's true.
Okay, so I guess a good follow-up question would be, can they still enroll? Like, can they choose to enroll even if they have credible coverage through their employer?
Another great question, and the answer is yes, they can. And in fact, I encourage every person that's going to Medicare, even if they have creditable coverage, to compare the benefits that Medicare offers to their existing employer plan, because there could be benefits in Medicare that are more attractive than the benefits they get through their work. So yes, always compare and then make that decision for what's best for you. Another question we get too is, well, what if I'm turning 65 but my spouse is the one that actually carries the insurance, and the rules are exactly the same. So same creditable coverage certificate, and as long as you have that, you don't have to, even if it's through a spouse plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great information. Okay, so let's go back to Mark's question. The second part was about penalties. Are there potential penalties when it comes to receiving Medicare?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
And this is something that comes up quite often as well. There are two potential penalties if somebody does not enroll when they are within the appropriate enrollment period after they lose creditable coverage or when they're first eligible. And I think we're going to talk more about enrollment periods the next time we talk.
Okay.
But for today's conversation, we'll focus on the penalties, potential penalties, and those are a Part B penalty and a Part D penalty. So a Part B penalty is a 10% penalty for every year that someone does not take Part B when they're eligible and they don't have other creditable coverage. Now these are lifelong penalties, so it's a big deal. And so 10% every year that you're not enrolled in Part B. The Part D is a little different. The Part D is a 1% penalty for every month that you are not enrolled in a Part D plan and you don't have creditable drug coverage.
Yeah.
That's also a lifelong penalty, and that penalty is based on a national base premium, and so that can go up and down every year, but both are lifelong penalties, so it's really important to find out if you have the proper coverage to avoid those.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, well, that was great information today. Thank you so much. I mean, the biggest takeaway is making sure that you enroll in the proper time frame
Correct.
to not receive those penalties, and really just make sure that the plan is the right fit for you. All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Mark, for submitting that question. And you too can get your question answered by emailing Kevin at the email listed below. And we will be sure to address that question in future broadcasts, because guess what? This is a weekly segment about Medicare. And we'll have more information about Health Markets Insurance Agency listed below. And I'll see you after the break. This segment sponsored by Kevin McIntyre, a licensed insurance agent with Health Markets Insurance Agency.